What do you think? How's it gonna look when it's all said and done?
The car, just what we're doing right now.
Don't just what we're doing right now.
Oh, I was gonna say the car. Nave espacial.
¿Verdad que sí?
But I'm curious how you're gonna lay it out.
I know, well, we gotta start with that first, huh?
Because we gotta figure out how it's gonna go. How are you gonna run the cables?
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. So I have my fuse box here and all the wires are nicely laid out. They're very organized and we're gonna mount it into the Supra just to see how it's gonna look. And there are some things that I did not factor in. It's just like one very small piece of detail, but it's gonna be a lot of change for this fuse box. So that is something that I'm gonna be able to show you guys throughout this vlog. So let's get started. Come on, let's see.
You know where roughly you're gonna mount it?
Yeah, so I have to pass this through first, all on this side here,
Through that
and
crevice?
then, yeah, and then run it through that way. Okay, so we're gonna go through this,
Like this.
yeah, through this hole right here,
Okay.
since it already has a set hole.
Feed me a little bit of it.
Yeah.
So I can just careful not to cut it with the frame.
Okay, let's do that first piece. Yeah, do this first piece like that, and then we move this piece like that. And then okay, there we go. Run it through, run it through.
So you're gonna wire it through the fender liner?
Yes. So that's exactly how it was wired originally. So instead of them passing it through this hole, which I still don't know why that hole is even there to begin with, but they ran it through underneath here. And then they bolted on this part of the harness, like right underneath over here, like underneath inside the fender liner onto the body. And then this is where they brought it out through. So this specific little hole, and then this is how they crimped it onto the rest of the harness. So some of the job was actually just crimped underneath here, and then the rest of the wiring looked pretty clean because it just like came out here. The only thing I'm just curious about is like the EA1 and the EA2. It was extended. So originally the EA1, EA2 is supposed to be underneath here, which is the original placement of the fuse box. And they extended it, you know, probably like a little bit longer, so like this long, you know. So now I'm wondering, like, okay, well then how did they design, you know, the engine harness, or where exactly did they bolt it onto to extend it that long? Because now I need to make sure, like, okay, how long am I gonna extend it and what way am I gonna route it so then it's gonna match the engine harness that eventually I'll make when the engine's already inside the Supra. So this is just kind of those questions that I'm asking myself, like, how am I gonna even do that, and why did they do that to begin with? But I'm gonna keep the same style layout where they just do it right underneath this fender liner, and then they just crimp it so it's like a clean job, and it'll just come up over here. Okay, I'm gonna pull it this way, and then from there, it'll run, 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 run. Okay, pull it through, pull it through. Be careful, but pull it through. More, more, more. And then now let me bring in the front harness just to measure out exactly how much is gonna be left off by the time I start crimping and connecting everything all through the front. This side. You know what? I gotta jack it up. I gotta take this out.
Milwaukee.
Beautiful. So many spider webs. But
Beautiful.
Still absolutely gorgeous. So this one would run. Coming through this place right there. And we have this that would have ran here. But then we have these wires that are coming out through here. So this would have to delicately go on the side here, which that boot is still on its way. I think that the EA1 and the EA2, they routed it on this side. So right over here, I have these two coming out on this side. And it makes sense because it's literally like the perfect length. So that's probably why they left this hole there. Now, what I'm thinking is, what if maybe at some point they decided it was best for the engine harness to come out from there rather than to come out from there? But, you know, I'm not really too sure. In almost all of the MK4 Supra builds that I have seen, all of the engine harnesses come out through there. Now, there's this hole right over here. And it's interesting because now that I'm thinking about it, what if the engine harness came out through that hole? And, you know, they just decided to do like a very, you know, custom sleek design, which is probably what they used this car for. But, you know, maybe that's exactly where it came out from, because this hole just doesn't make any sense. Like, none of the other Supra builds, they don't have this, you know. And I asked people around, like, what do you think that they might have put in through there, you know, that I should be aware of? And everybody was like, oh, I'm not sure. You know, that's actually something that I should seal up, because where the engine sits at, that's gonna just allow a lot of heat to come in, and it's probably gonna like burn my feet while I'm driving. So now that is something I'm gonna have to like factor in, and I should start working on these layouts like right away. And that is something that I'm not even gonna delay, because the faster that I can know where I'm gonna put everything else at, I think it's gonna be better for the layout. But so far the harness is fitting accordingly. I just needed to make sure that wherever I'm gonna run the additional wires to, or wherever I have to like adjust this, I have enough wire to cover it. Now, I knew that before even taking this out, but still, I'm a visual learner, and it's very important for me to just double check, triple check, and quadruple check for everything, because believe me, I have no experience doing wiring whatsoever. So if this comes out great, amazing, hallelujah. So this is where all the extended parts are gonna come out from. EA1 and EA2 will be routed through that part right there. And then they're just gonna come out over here. If I can find like a custom boot or make a custom boot for this, I think that would be absolutely beautiful, and that would look really gorgeous, and it would just complement like the rest of the scheme of the engine bay. So that would look really nice, you know, it'll look very professional. And then I have just these couple wires here that are coming from the passenger side connectors. So this is actually where I'm gonna mark it at. So when I'm working on this harness, then I know exactly how much I'm gonna extend through to get through this way. So this is like where all the new wires are at, but we see that most of them are gonna hook up here. And then of course we do have like the rest that'll come in through this side. And then, you know, I made these a little extra long, these couple like 4 or 5 wires. But yeah, so everything is looking good, everything is still going according to plan. But wow, that's just so interesting. Like, I didn't even catch this before. This is actually something that it was just so new to me. And then I was like, oh no, this is how the original MK4 Supra looks like, you know. And I assumed like, yeah, that hole goes there, there's no hole there, they left that open, so that was something custom that they did, you know. I was just like, oh yeah, this is how all the MK4 Supras look like, you know, until I started looking through a lot of pictures and asking a lot of people, and I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I wasn't correct. That is not how it's supposed to look like.
I know. You frustrated?
No, this is just part of the process. But as soon as I make that layout, guys, then I will know exactly where I have to cut into inside the engine bay. And probably I won't do it because that kind of like freaks me out a little bit, but maybe I'll have somebody come and help me. Maybe I should have had somebody help me with like the electrical stuff too, huh? Or maybe with like the rest of the build. Who knows? There's all these questions, but I still think the most complicated part of all this is probably the electrical, which is why exactly I wanted to tackle it. But this is where I'm gonna end with for tonight. Gonna have to do a couple last minute adjustments, and I will catch you guys on the next vlog because the EA1 and the EA2 are on their way, and I'm just gonna do that brand new. I'm gonna reroute it with new wire, new pins, new seals. So I think that's gonna look really great for my builds. But all right, I'll catch you guys next time, okay? Take care, stay tuned for more. Bye.